Hello again. So here we have the recent radio RS-38M with built-in DSC and GPS. This radio is available from recent-radio.co.za, and we want to use this to explore what is DSC. So firstly, if we power this thing up, we can see that it says no MMSI. The MMSI is a unique identifier. This is an international code which each vessel has its own one. So this needs to be entered. So we say OK, and we start entering our MMSI. So it's important to remember that this code can only be entered once. After that, it needs to be sent back to the agents, and you can send it back to recent-radio.co.za. They will be able to adjust it for you. So once it's entered, we click OK to finish, and we need to enter it a second time just to make sure that we entered it correctly the first time. And then we click finish. It says MMSI successfully registered, and we come back to the home screen. So we have the GPS coordinates and the date because the satellite receiver is on. Make sure that it's on, otherwise you will not be able to send your location data. Now, what is DSC? DSC is digital selective calling. It's a digital signal, so it's a text signal. It is selective, so it can be sent to selective stations, not only to all ships, and then for calling. Most importantly, it enables this button. So that we have a distress button. We can long press this, and this radio will automatically send out a DSC text message to all receiving stations with the GPS coordinates saying that you are in distress and require assistance. This is the most significant feature. However, DSC has many other functions. So let's explore those functions. If we go into the menu, we can see DSC calls, but first let's check that we have our settings correct. The settings, we go enter, individual ID. This is like a telephone directory. You can enter your friends' MMSI numbers here so that you can call them conveniently. Group ID, you can enter group IDs here. You can make up your own ones. It must start with a 0, and the second number must not be a 0, and it must be 10 digits. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is fine. Then you can have a group ID and contact your fishing buddies or your paddling buddies. Individual acknowledgement. So if you receive an individual call, and we'll explore what that is, we want that manual. Position acknowledgement. This is when another radio requests your position. We want that to be auto so that we don't need to activate it and the other radio can receive it automatically. Test acknowledgement, similarly, we want that on auto so that if somebody sends you a test message, it acknowledges automatically. Channel 16 switch, 10 seconds is fine. Alarm, we just want to make sure that all alarms are on so that we know when we're receiving DSC messages. Channel 70 squelch, this is quite important. So if the squelch is set too high, your radio will be unable to receive DSC calls. So you want it to be low, but you don't want it too low because otherwise it'll always be on channel 70 only, and you will not be able to do voice calls. So I usually have this on 2. This works fine. DSC loop test. This is, you can do a loop test. It just checks the radio, and in this case it says that it's fine. So channel 70 watch, this is also an important setting. You must make sure that it is on standby, because basically you can disable the channel 70 so that this radio will no longer receive DSC messages, which is not what you want. Right, those are the settings. If we go back, we can now go into DSC calls. So let's look at the different types of calls. We have a distress call down here. Here we can specify the type of distress that we are experiencing: fire, flooding, collision, and so forth. Remember, this is just another version of this distress button. This is a non-specified distress message, so here it doesn't specify what the type of distress is. You can also send a specific one if you have the time to do so, But for most purposes, the non-specified one is perfectly adequate. What is also of much significance is that you can send position requests. So if you want to know where your friends are, you can send them a position request. So let's do that. So we have this radio over here, and we want to send a position request. For example, your buddies are on the water, they're not responding to any messages, you want to know where they are. You can just go position request. In this case, we're selecting this radio, it's just a routine, and we're sending it through, and we say call, transmitting position request. Here it says transmitting paused, and it has already received the acknowledgement. So we say alarm off. It says here, this is the vessel with the GPS coordinates. So it's just told us where this vessel is. What's really nice, we can now go into the log, and we can see this. This is an important part of DSC, is that these messages are saved, compared to just hearing it over the radio and then forgetting it, not being able to retrieve that information. So we have the position reply, we can see it again here, and we've got the full information. We can now even go and save this as a waypoint. Here, this WP, save as a waypoint, we say OK, it's now saved as a waypoint. If we go back to the original home screen, we can just go to waypoints, and we can see over here, this is where it's saved, and we can navigate to it. So it now gives us the range and the bearing, course over ground and speed over ground. So this is our course over ground. Of course, this is 0 nautical miles because the radio is right next to it. But it's that easy. We would be able to see where our friends are. We can also navigate to other waypoints. For example, here, this is the 3 Anchor Bay launch, which I've saved in here. If I click on nav, now it gives us the range of 8 nautical miles, bearing 013 degrees, course over ground 282, speed over ground 0 knots. I'm obviously not moving. So this would normally, once we're moving, this will become a little arrow, and it'll show us where we are going. We currently have our course up. We can also set that to north up. So this, if you have a compass, then that might be easier, but it can be north up or the course up. We can also display the data, or have a range. We can set the range of the scale. So yeah, that is the navigation function of the DSC. Another important function is, so that's the position request. We can also do a position report. So this is the reply, so position report. So we just go OK. So if I want to send my position to this radio over here, we can report it. So if I go enter, and we go enter, and we call position transmitting it, and this radio has just received it, we go alarm off, and we can see that this is just received this message of the report of this radio. The radio is not saved in this one's address book, so it just gives the MMSI number. Other functionality, we can do position report. We can also do polling requests. So we can poll the radio, which means that it keeps asking for a position on a regular basis. Polling replies. We can also do test calls, so that's also very nice. We can just send a test call to this radio as a routine, safety or urgency, and we can send transmitting a test call, and waiting for acknowledgement. And this radio has received it, and it's received the acknowledgement. So this is just really nice to be able to test it. You can test it between two radios, alarm off, and we can exit. So just to test that the DSC is actually working, make sure that all your settings are correct, that the radio is replying automatically. yeah, that sort of thing. So yeah, so DSC calls, yeah, we have all of them on record. That pretty much wraps it up. Distress calls, distress relays, individual calls, and group calls, of which it is position requests, position reports, and polling reports. Yeah, thank you for listening.